Here are the 5 most important historical events that happened in the whole world in 1946, in no particular order. 1. The Nuremberg Trials. The Nuremberg Trials were a series of military tribunals held after World War II by the Allied powers against 24 major German Nazi war criminals. The trials were held from November 20, 1945 to October 1, 1946 in Nuremberg, Germany. The purpose of the trials was to bring to justice those who had committed war crimes and crimes against humanity during the Second World War. The trials were a landmark event in the history of international law, and they established the principle of individual accountability for war crimes. 2. The Iron Curtain. The Iron Curtain was a political and ideological barrier that divided Europe into 2 hostile blocs during the Cold War. The term was first used by Winston Churchill in a speech on March 5, 1946, to describe the boundary between the Soviet Union and its satellite states in Eastern Europe and the Western Bloc countries of the United Kingdom, the United States, and France. The Iron Curtain was a major source of tension and conflict during the Cold War. It prevented the free movement of people and ideas between the 2 blocs, and it contributed to the militarization of Europe. 3. The Marshall Plan. The Marshall Plan, officially known as the European Recovery Program, was a US-led economic aid program designed to help rebuild Western Europe after World War II. The plan was announced by President Harry S. Truman on June 5, 1947, and it remained in operation until 1951. The Marshall Plan provided over $13 billion in aid to 16 Western European countries. 4. The Truman Doctrine. The Truman Doctrine was a U.S. foreign policy that pledged U.S. support to countries threatened by communism. The doctrine was announced by President Harry S. Truman on March 12, 1947, in a speech to Congress. The Truman Doctrine was a response to the growing Soviet threat in Eastern Europe. The Soviets had established communist governments in several Eastern European countries after World War II, and they were attempting to expand their influence further into Europe. The Truman Doctrine aimed to deter the Soviets from further expansion and to support countries that were resisting Soviet pressure. 5. The founding of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank were founded on December 27, 1945, in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. The 2 institutions were created to promote international financial cooperation and to help countries rebuild after the Second World War. The IMF is responsible for promoting global monetary stability and facilitating international trade. The World Bank provides loans to developing countries to help them finance economic development projects. The IMF and the World Bank have played a major role in the global economy since their founding. These are just a few of the most important historical events that happened in the world and in Europe in 1946. It was a pivotal year in history, and the events that took place in 1946 would shape the course of the world for decades to come.